Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for another positive spin. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at Open Water 2 Adrift. Now, this is the Open Water 3 pack that they have on Blu ray. Walmart was selling it for a while. And even though I do have the first and second one, and possibly the third one on individual discs, I just brought this down because I'd wanted to watch them, and we were working on Open Water for a different project. So, how I became exposed to Open Water. I watched the first one, and I loved it. Thought it was great. It was a very different take of a disaster, I guess is what you could say. Hopelessness. It has a lot of really hard qualities to watch. And truthfully, I stayed away from Open Water 2 Adrift for quite some time because all I heard was people bashing it, saying how dumb it was. It didn't live up to the first one because the first one made quite a splash. It seemed like everybody liked the first one. And so I stayed away from it. Plus, truth be told, it was quite hard for me to find. Now, I'm sure in some places it's readily available, but in the thrift stores that I went to, it was years before I could actually find a copy to watch for myself. And for some reason, I didn't go and search for it on streaming sites, probably because of all the negativity that I heard. So I finally picked up a copy from my local thrift store, and that was probably maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, somewhere in that general vicinity. And I watched it, really not expecting much because of all the hate that I had heard, and I ended up loving it. I actually prefer it to the first one, to the original Open Water. But I'll get to that later on in this positive spin. One of the first things that I like about the film is I like the background footage, the found footage. It's not really found footage, but it's just like home movies they show of these friends and problems that they've had and how they kind of moved on with their lives. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something happens in the beginning for people who haven't seen it, because I'm probably sure there's a lot of people who haven't. Primarily, well, maybe they didn't see it, maybe they didn't search it out, or maybe it's all the hate that it's gotten. Regardless, um, so it's got a little bit of that in the very beginning, first couple minutes of the film, establishes this group of friends and that they've had a little bit of dissension among them, of the friends. So I like the music and the score, and I like how it automatically takes place 5 years later. And they show these friends and the changes that they have gone through. Some are just as immature as ever. Some have families, um, better jobs, careers, so on and so forth. So it's 5 years down the line, and this is not really to give a synopsis, but this one's kind of easy because not a lot happens. Generally speaking, it's a how do I put it? It doesn't have much of a plot. It's just a situational catastrophe that they're in. So they go out on a friend's boat, and it's a yacht, and they're thinking their friend has made it big, and they end up all in the water without the ladder so that they can get back on the boat. And that is one of the things I love about this film. I like how one of the friends is petrified of water, and you do find out a little bit more about that as the movie goes along. The reason, and It's been a while since I've seen this, so the reason kind of reinforced it for me because I'd forgotten. I thought it was something. It kind of leads you to believe that it's one thing, but it's something else. Um, the reason why this incident or situation happened is believable. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to give it away in case people haven't seen it. And there's a certain bit of hopelessness to this film, much like in the original Open Water. Now, this is why I prefer Open Water 2 to the original Open Water. In the first film, you have two people that have gone out scuba diving and they get left by the boat. The boat's gone, they're in the middle of the water. There is basically nothing you can do except for if you get spotted by another boat, you're just basically waiting to die. Um, by the way, one of the other things I liked about Open Water 2 was how they didn't go the shark route like they did in the first one. They hinted at it in the beginning, but they never went that route. And I thought that was creative because it could have been so easy to go that route in Open Water 2. It could have been so easy, but they decided to do something a little bit more creative. This, again, like the first Open Water, is based on a true story. Now, the thing I like most about this, which I started to talk about before, is the fact that, and the reason why I prefer to Open Water, the original, is the boat is right there. There's just nothing you can do about it. You cannot get back up on this boat because it doesn't have the ladder down, and you can't get enough leverage in order to get up to the deck because it's too far. And how the friends act towards each other is also an interesting part of this film. Because in the first one, you only have the two people basically playing off of each other, which is great. I mean, it's a great film. In this one, you have six people, technically seven, but that's a different part of the story. And I'm not going to give that away in case you haven't seen it because there's a little bit more of an intense panic that goes on throughout the film. But I don't want to give that away. But you do have more people to play off of each other, and you find out more about the people and why it took them 5 years to get back together, and so on and so forth. And the acting, I think, is brilliant, just brilliant. One of the things I also like is that the ending is a bit ambiguous, even though if you research the true story, which Joe did, you kind of know what happens, but I think they were going to leave it ambiguous for a certain reason to put their own stamp onto the story, perhaps. But Open Water 2 is absolutely fantastic. Um, I don't understand the hate. In my opinion, this is scarier than the first one because it's right there. You can touch the boat, but you just can't get up on the boat. And it's a rough watch. Um, there's a lot of impending doom, and it's something I really enjoy about the film. It really makes you feel, gives you anxiety, much like the first Open Water. But that is my positive spin on Open Water 2 Adrift. Don't forget to check out Joe's positive spin, and if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.